Okay, Happy New Year, guys. Great to be back. Got a great message for today, or for 2023. A little bit about predictions, but also about human collective consciousness, and as we navigate through this tumultuous emotional energy that's going to be arising now in most people. And I've spoken about this sort of split happening now from 2023. The Aquarian age has officially kicked in. So what's happening now is the frequency of polarity is coming. It's coming together as it was coming together for the last couple of years, and I spoke about this on videos. But what's happening now is that frequency is now dividing itself again. So almost like that, many people have talked about different Earths, breakaway Earths, and all the rest of it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that this consciousness is taking a turn now. So that which is most denied in a human being will surface, and it's going to take on two different frequencies. They're either going to deal with it, or it's going to collapse in themselves, or they'll turn more into their shadow energy. So it's been a very interesting time, especially as an energy worker, and be able to sort of have that connection with the unseen. You get a little bit more of a sense of what's going on behind the scenes, but trying to sort of articulate some of it into the mainstream is a little bit hard because of people's belief systems. But what we're trying to do now, and obviously Spirit and how we're working, is to bring a very simplified message through, and also one that helps you transform your stuff, shall we say, stuff in the moment without it becoming debilitating. And I've been doing a lot of personal shifting myself, and like the last sort of I'd say last 6 months, there's been a lot of old energies that have been moving through my system, and it's been causing a lot of different physical reactions, a lot of itching on my right arm. This is all past life energy. I've had a lot of the emotional body trying to regurgitate itself through sort of not throwing up, but like dry reaching. And that's been a trigger, and that's the emotional body, and it always happens at 10 o'clock every night. And the itching always starts around 9 o'clock, and it will last for about half an hour. So it's very much set how my soul has been releasing it. And the more people that are coming into alignment, you will start to see those types of timelines coming into your day to day. Now, the reason my soul has released that stuff is because my work day is over. I don't have interaction with anyone, obviously, just my partner. So that frequency is able to manifest itself out, and I'm now able to acknowledge it without it becoming debilitating, because obviously the dry reaching, this itching, it was very intense at periods. And I've also had a few things going on in my foot with the nervous system. Again, this is frequency moving through my meridian system out through my chakras, and it's obviously affecting the physical body. And to be honest, if you are releasing energy, it has to be felt, it has to be acknowledged. And this is what Einstein was talking about, through the imagination is the doorway into the unconscious. That's where you can find all your answers. But everything in existence is looking for acknowledgement, and that obviously defines its state. And it also gives it consciousness. It brings that energy into the present moment so that you are able to interact with whatever you're talking to, whether it's a person, a plant, an emotion, an energy, an entity, it doesn't really matter, because it's the acknowledgement of what you are feeling and being able to create space and detach from it without it bringing your mind into it and creating a sort of frenzy that we all get into, because most people don't want to feel their pain, they don't want to feel their emotions. But emotional energy is not the enemy. It's actually there. It's alarming us. It's showing us where we are holding on to something that doesn't serve us any longer. So everything is always a gift. There are 1,000 signs a day, but we're not trained to pick up on that frequency. So obviously, the more we're working on ourselves, we're changing our vibration, the frequency around our cells, around our energy field, we become more subtle. And that's when the gentleness and the sensitivity can move back into the human body, because the gentleness and sensitivity is the greatest gift that we all have. But we deny that, and especially as men, we get that shut down very much as a young age. Again, for war, the heart chakra shut down makes us pawns for war. And of course, masculine energy is more practical, so it's doing, it's physical, where emotional energy is more on the feminine energy. But what's happening now is that divide is no longer feasible in this reality. All men have to touch in that with them, their feminine side. They have to relearn how to be sensitive, how to be gentle. And that vulnerability is actually where your power lies. And I always say this to you, if you're listening to someone talk at a talk, for example, and they're talking through their head, they're talking through their ego, they're talking through the textbook, what happens is people will listen if they're engaged, but what will happen is people will start to tune out because they're not engaging on the emotional level. Now, every human being is looking for that engagement because they're trying to find it within themselves. If you get someone that stands up there and says, and starts to speak their heart, starts to be vulnerable, opens themselves up, everyone starts to listen. Even the most egotistical people will listen because they are searching for that in themselves, and everyone is searching for that peace. And when someone stands up and is vulnerable and truthful, it changes the vibration in the room. It changes the frequency of what you're listening to. And it's that energy, that spirit are trying to really enforce and not, I shouldn't say enforce, trying to enforce the awakening in people's consciousness so that they can feel that gentleness and sensitivity. And all you have to do is surrender to it, because that's your natural state of being. It's every human being's natural state of being. It's just that we are so conditioned to not feel that, to not, live that experience without judgment, without fear of reprisal, without fear of attack, and of course that takes on a whole different frequency within the body and within the cells. So what we're really trying to do now is create a platform to make it simple for you to understand what's going on. Also, also why you're here. No one actually asked the question, what am I doing on this planet? How am I even alive? What is actually keeping my heart beating? And it's not obviously what conventional mainstream information tells you. Obviously, this is consciousness, it's stream of energy, it's frequency. And it's that energy that we are now being asked to reconnect with on a conscious level. And again, this is why people are struggling, because they don't understand who they are or what they're doing on this planet. And they don't understand why they keep repeating the same emotional triggers, patterns, trauma. And why things keep happening to them, and also we're trying to get out of this energy around luck and around karma, because obviously karma is not, it's not in a conventional sense, it's actually magnetic energy. So what we perceive as karma is actually a repeat. It's the soul triggering the same experience to awaken you to something you haven't resolved in your multi-dimensional or interdimensional aspects of your consciousness. Because everything that you're dealing with in this life, especially this life, you are bringing through many frequencies from other aspects of your own soul body to process, because other timelines that are existing in the present moment now that you're living in may not have the consciousness to go into this type of energy, especially if you're in a society that we've had for a couple of thousand years, where it's been very much obviously church orientated. We've been very suppressed. The feminine's been suppressed. The voice has been suppressed. It's not sort of something that you can go into, and it was always sort of little hidden sort of societies and groups where you could actually sit with someone, but it's all very hush hush, and there's a lot of fear around it. And of course, opening up that memory, that cellular memory, that DNA memory is in our human collective consciousness as a group as a race, but also in our own DNA. And this is why a lot of sort of, as we call them, light workers, are people that are trying to come in and open up consciousness on this planet, have a lot of fear around that, because they've obviously been murdered in other lives for having that ability. Now we all know that, so again, a lot of people are not opening up because of that subconscious fear, and they don't realize it. And a lot of it gets shut down as well as children, because they don't have the family to support it around them. So it's really about harnessing anyone around you at the moment that that has that ability to really support them, to really help them bring it out, because they're the ones that are going to start transforming the planet. Because everyone has this in them. Every human being is the same at the core. We're all conscious living beings. We're all powerful. We're all part of the one light, conscious, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we all have the same abilities underneath. Okay, the only reason you're not living with those abilities is because you're conditioned to not believe in it, or you have too much trauma in the way from feeling it. So really, this is about understanding that you're already powerful, and all we're doing is removing the layers. Okay, you don't have to ascend anywhere. You're already everywhere, and you don't have to go on this whole, inner journey. Like, I have to go to India, I have to go and do 3,000 courses, I have to read all these books. No. It's been simplified now. This is not the way spirit wants to do it. It's not the way the non-physical, and especially not the way your soul wants to do it. And as I've said many times, human beings are exhausted, and the last thing they want now is another full set of rules and procedures to find some happiness in themselves, find some relief, because we are being bombarded from so much negative information at the moment, misinformation, that everyone now is churning in survival mode. And they're constantly saying there's recession, there's all this blah, 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 blah. In actual fact, the universe is infinitely abundant. It's actually impossible to have scarcity. The only reason we have scarcity is because we're feeding and believing everything that we hear on the news and read. And this is what happens. It goes into human collective consciousness. Everyone believes it, and it manifests itself. Because if you believe something and you visualize it, imagination is the most powerful gift we have. So it's really imagination used against us to create a negative or a certain narrative that feeds a certain few. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. There's many people that speak about all that. What really the point is that we have to be conscious of what we take in, how it triggers us. If you're reading about the latest energy crisis and you get into a panic, use that panic, not because what they've done. Don't forget the story. The fact that you've been triggered with panic is a gift, because that's your panic from some other part of your consciousness, some other timeline, maybe your childhood, maybe your first relationship. Doesn't really matter. Maybe when you fell off a bridge. Doesn't really matter where it's come from. The point is that that's yours. You own it in the moment, and all you have to do is give it love and breathe into it and thank it for being there and acknowledge that that is a gift, and then that energy will transform very quickly. And you'll do that a couple of times, maybe once, and then you'll hear the energy crisis again, and you won't have the same feeling, and you go, oh, I sorted that out, fantastic. And that's how simple it is. That's how powerful it is. And the consciousness that's coming on the planet from many, many mediums, and I'm not talking about physical mediums, I'm talking about planets, I'm talking about ETs, I'm talking about frequencies that are already here, that are being reawakened. All of these frequencies are there to support this shift that we're moving into. So I want to get on with my next my message now, and we'll go from there. So this is, I just did this, like I said, just a forecast. It's a little bit about, some things that will go on, but also what we need to do individually, and also how we affect and help each other. Okay, so you are experiencing a global catastrophe of consciousness. Not one human being on the planet isn't being affected. The proposition given by all souls is a reunification with the human self. It is the grandest desire for planet Earth in 2023. Because, in truth, all crises would dissolve upon reunification with the non-physical aspects of your consciousness. People are struggling because they don't understand who they are. This is a real global issue that needs adjustment. This year, there must be an awakening in the mainstream so that a feeling of love, of life experience and prosperity can become the focal point. You are gearing up to move the race back into a galactic convergence. You have to make a conscious choice to evolve out of survival mode. And that intention can bend light to manifest a different life path. And this is where we start to get into the quantum side of things, and because this is the matrix. And I've seen, thank God, as I say, I've had a lot of psychic experiences, so I can sort of validate it. But I've seen the physical change in front of me many, many times, and it's through intention. And if you come back, default to that Matrix movie about, the concept is brilliant, but you have the ability in the moment to shape everything that's going on. And this is the most powerful tool we have, and it's the one that's being shut down for thousands of years. When you can feel that and actually experience it and build that connection with that process, your life takes on a very, very different frequency. And it really is so empowering because you know that you're in control. And I'm not talking about control for the ego. I'm talking about control about being safe here, feeling safe in this world, this calamity we're going through. But actually this calamity is fantastic because it's shaking everything up and it's rebirthing the new earth. So this is all very positive. So just come back to the message. So global leaders are still in denial about many aspects of the planet. And you will see a rise in international conflict. What's happening is the shadow aspects of human denial are pushing to the surface. And it's creating two primary outcomes. One, leaders are moving more into their shadow selves as the energy surfaces. They feel it more abundantly as aspects of their consciousness are still in denial, triggering their decisions. Two, leaders are in extreme panic and despair, rendering them unfit for leadership. Furthermore, it will cause much fighting within the governments, and the whole world will feel this polarization in leadership. Again, nothing to worry about. It all has to be broken up. So chaos is the shift into the new age. China will suffer huge losses this year through many illnesses. The Arctic Circle will primarily create weather patterns that disturb the northern hemisphere. But what is happening energetically is that the Earth's axis is receiving frequencies that are shaking up the etheric body of the planet. It will disturb the magnetic frequency in the Earth's core, creating flooding and weather patterns. From a lighter perspective, the Earth is breaking her chains, releasing herself from the bondage of human denial. It will create fear, but this is a gift as it shows human denial that to keep up the narrative is only harming ourselves. Nature, if it decided, could transform the whole planet in days. Fear is there to awaken old memories, to work in harmony with the planet, and to listen to the warning signs. COVID was the start of an awakening period for all humanity. Many haven't heard, so nature is now calling to awaken those in denial. You have to adopt a more inner life this year, renewing your body, mind, and emotions. Pursuing money and possessions will give you a different fulfillment. The more you accumulate, the emptier you will feel. You must go within to feel real love, power, and sovereignty over your life, your health, and relationship with yourself. The stock market will hit some brick walls mid-year, creating much panic. And this is a reflection of your leader's emotional health, as we have discussed. Look for green investments for startups that are helping humanity and the planet. Many new startups will be birthed over these next 5 years and need support. The old system of numbers and formulas will take a back seat as the planet's sovereignty becomes the focal point. It is the non-physical desire and that of Earth herself. Be sure to do parasite cleanses this year. Gut health will be at the forefront. As shadow energies arise in the many, these parasites live off these emotions. So looking after your stomach and intestines is essential. There will be issues in the throat and surrounding organs and physicality to the throat chakra. Get to the beach, the jungles, and the forests this year. Immerse yourself in nature. You will need the balance as a collective human consciousness is in crisis, and all will feel this throughout the year. It will lead individuals to cling to power in those unawakened, again through leadership, and those in the workforce, micro, macro. The time saved working from home should be spent on your inner self. That was the true gift in your recent pandemic. Work on yourself this year, and you are setting the rest of your life up for something better, more fulfillment and abundance across the board. Stay out of the news narrative. It is designed to stimulate fear, keeping you in survival mode and entrenched in misinformation. The global elite is pushing the pedal to hold supremacy over the economy. That's why it's essential to look within for your answers and not be swayed by the narrative they present. They will attack the awakened community this year in abundance because you hold the truth, and it's your cells that they want to blast through misinformation, vaccines and fear-mongering around health. If the awakened ones are shut down, they cannot assist those in the illusion. So be very conscious this year of your emotional and mental triggers. A war is being forged on the frequencies of light, as there always is in a world of polarity. However, this year will see an augmented agenda on all fronts. To envision a more credible world, you must fix your inner world. So stop and think before you act this year. If you feel compelled to help in the physical world in some capacity, but are still in denial of your own life, be it mental or emotional, you will not be able to assist in full capacity. It may even get in the way and cause unnecessary conflict with whatever you are doing or interacting. Moreover, it will diminish the results. Fix yourself first. The mother force of the divine feminine will be more present consciously. Of course, this is nature as well. But your feminine side needs acknowledgement. It requires your understanding. Healing this part of yourself will be of excellent service to all humanity and Mother Earth. And this can also be with your own physical mothers. Polarity is extreme this year, so if you partake in heavy living, you will feel it more than ever. However, if you keep things light, you will feel lighter and clearer. So it's a choice. And this is the main problem on your planet. You are not presented with a choice, only disaster, doom and gloom. It is how the narrative of misinformation is given, always in lack or devastation. It is the surrendering to this reality that keeps you in fear of providing for your families. There is no need for governments to be fighting anymore. This experience of the reigning ego supreme concluded before your First World War and has led to 100 years of intense fighting because the ego doesn't want to surrender to change, to the new Earth's evolution. So of course it created more conflict to deny that which cannot be denied any longer. And you are more polarized, more separate from each other than ever before. Place an image over your town or place of living each morning for the next few months. Visualize unity, laughter, and abundance, seeing your community connected and working together, and you will experience the power of imagination. So, a wonderful message. Again, there's going to be a lot of things going on, but the main thing is whatever you are triggered by, whatever emotions are triggered in you from whatever you hear or watch, sit with that emotion, own it because it's yours, and that is a gift. Do not get into the story. Use the negative narrative as a positive for your own healing. And when you can flip everything around, you'll see how simple life takes on and how much control you can take back over your own sovereignty, your own power, your own energy, and your own health. So like I said, we're relaunching much of the work now. There's a lot of new stuff coming through. This year we'll see a lot of new healing models coming out. Whoever you work with, whether it's me or someone else, make sure you feel into what you're doing before you do it. Don't make the decision in your head. Feel it, meditate on it. And like I say, anyone that comes on my workshop, I say, don't just book it. You need to feel that this is right for you, because the work we're doing now is about a life transformation. It's not just healing this, healing that, and teaching you some new techniques. This is about a transformation. This is about opening you up to your soul, to the life, the non-physical, about being empowered and feeling empowered in a world that doesn't support that energetically. But, you know, again, it's all choice. It's misinformation. You can rise through that, see through that, and your whole life will take a very, very different turn. So I'm doing just a little bit on the alignment modality. We're relaunching it. There's a module 1 is starting again in March. Come on, check on the group. I'll be advertising it again. So it's about 10 weeks or so. And then we'll be sharing some more videos, of course, as we go through. I'm going to do a few more videos a bit more frequently now, because I think this year there's going to be a lot of things coming up. And obviously we're going to want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes a little bit, because we're hearing this, but when those emotions come up, it's one thing hearing it and going, yeah, that's what I've got to do. But when that emotion comes up, it can really destabilize you. We've all been through that. But don't fear your emotions. They are a gift, and your soul is giving that to you to either heal the past or to become conscious of the narrative that's playing in your subconscious. Because when you can believe, and when you change the frequencies in your cells, they will hold more light, more frequency. And of course, that will raise everything up in you. It brings a natural excitement, a natural joy. It's a natural way of working, and then you'll be compelled to do other things. And you may even change your whole career overnight. And many people we've been working with have done that, because they felt their soul, and the soul says, well, that was never your contract to work in that office. You're going out there in that field, and you're doing that. And it is almost a 180. And what happens is you sort of step back and you just see it evolve in front of you. And you think, how the hell did that just happen? And that's the beauty about allowing the soul to come in, because it just takes care of everything. And the greatest, the common always say, the spiritual warrior stands still and draws everything to them, and it just manifests out of them. You don't have to go striving, searching, struggling anymore. Get out of this mental energy, this male energy of having to strive, struggle, do. The more you surrender, the less you do, the more inward, the more breathing, the more feeling in the moment, the more intention that is set in the mornings. That's what changes your life. And that's the simplicity in it. But you have to take that step. You have to start to feel that, and you'll build rapport with it, because the soul is waiting for you to ask, and it will give you a sign very quickly. Because the planet needs human beings to evolve as well, because the planet's taking off anyway. It's doing its thing. We're guests on this planet. Planets, so they've got their own evolution and consciousness, and planet Earth is moving. There is nothing stopping her anymore. So we need to be in alignment with that frequency. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I will be back again probably in a couple of weeks, I'd say. All right, all the best. Thank you.